stop whatever you're doing. Bitcoin just hit a new all-time high, above $100,000. It's now officially a six-figure crypto. And it didn't take a Robinhood IPO, Coinbase NFT launch, or TikTok organic reach to get there. No, today's spike came from geopolitics. Pure and simple. In less than 24 hours, we went from 90,000 to 100,000, making this easily the most dramatic and exciting rally of the entire bull market. But it's how and why it happened that has the world watching. The explosion of decentralized finance, the massive amount of institutional adoption, the $400 billion market cap, and even Elon Musk's tweet storm all faded in comparison to today's events. With so much at stake, let's break it all down. Here's what you need to know about the historic Bitcoin rally to $100,000 and beyond. First, a word on what happened in Iran. Just hours ago, the U.S. launched airstrikes on Iranian military targets in response to recent cyber attacks and naval aggression in the region. Tensions have been high since Iran seized U.S. Navy command boats last month. As geopolitical fears mount, so does the potential for escalation. Thankfully, it seems the airstrike resolved the situation with no loss of life. But if the tit-for-tat continues, we could see oil spike to $100 a barrel or even higher. Speaking of spikes, Bitcoin jumped nearly 10% in minutes, reaching a high of $100,934 on some exchanges. This has never happened before. Not from hype or media FUD, not from having cycles or network upgrades, but in direct response to geopolitical conflict. After the initial strike, BTC rose from 95K to 98K, then 99K, and finally, 6 digits, 100K. At this point, almost every crypto was green, with Ethereum, BNB, and XRP leading the charge. But Bitcoin had the most explosive move. To understand why, let's look at how traditional assets reacted. Gold jumped 4% in early trading, its biggest single-day move this year. Oil spiked over 4% as well due to the inherent conflict risk in the Middle East. Meanwhile, U.S. equities were surprisingly stable, falling slightly less than 1%. Why? Well, despite all the talk of disconnect, traditional markets still rely on central banks and government intervention. Crypto doesn't. That's why when Bitcoin jumped 10%, gold only rose 4%. The fact that these assets don't perfectly mirror each other is proof that crypto is maturing. But this also means that certain external factors are now needed to trigger big moves. In this case, fear. When investors panic, they flock to safety. And right now, there's no safer place than Bitcoin. But is it really a safe haven asset or just a risk asset in disguise? Analysts are split. Some say today's spike proves Bitcoin is maturing, a hedge against political chaos and a true store of value. Others argue that it's still a highly volatile, speculative asset moving on hype and fear. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Bitcoin does offer several advantages as a safe haven. While the supply of gold is known, Bitcoin's fixed at 21 million. Plus, unlike currencies pegged to governments, Bitcoin is truly decentralized. However, BTC is still a relatively new asset with no historical context, a wild price history, and strong correlation to tech stocks. Not exactly what you'd expect from a traditional safe haven. Sure, Bitcoin can run up in times of crisis like today, but it can also rally on Elon Musk tweets. So while it may be the most macro of all assets, it's still very much an outlier. Which brings us to the final question. What happens next? Will this last, or was today a flash in the pan? Unfortunately, nobody knows for sure, but here's what we do know. In the big picture though, this event shows that Bitcoin is maturing. It can react to world events, challenge traditional assets, and serve as a hedge against black swan events. But it also shows that Bitcoin is still very much an outlier, so treat it as such. Going forward, regardless of where prices go, volatility is your new normal. So tighten your risk, follow the macro news, and remember that whether it's the mother of all rallies or the mother of all crashes, volatility equals opportunity and danger. See it as a chance to buy the dip on the way down and sell the rip on the way up. Oh, and don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for real-time market breakdowns, and comment below. Do you see Bitcoin as digital gold or still just a gamble?